As this is for the Thanksgiving banquet, I want to say Thanksgiving is a time of gratitude. And every day I start my day with gratitude. I'm grateful that God left the 99 to come get me. Grateful that he gracefully broken me so that I can be in this place. And I also wanted to start with 2 scriptures, so I put them down. There's a few scriptures that I hold near and dear to my heart that I get to go with me, but it's 2 Timothy 1:7. For God has not given me the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And Romans 5:8, yet while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. So these scriptures I hold on to very, very dear. I grew up in a home of unbelievers. And I always knew of Jesus, but to fully surrender to Jesus, it wasn't until 6 years ago. So my life before God, I was born to 2 amazing people, 2 amazing humans who were madly in love with each other. But they also struggled with substance abuse disorder, and they also struggled with mental health. And it was generational, and it just kept passing on and passing on. So my mom came home from college one summer, and she met my dad. Fell in love, they got pregnant with me, it was great. But my mom couldn't stop her addiction. So I went with my grandmother, my sister went with my dad, and we went to Florida, which will entail several years of a revolving door, several years of abuse, several years of neglect, because my dad was just looking for that one woman to take care of us. And it didn't happen that way. Several years of molestation, several years of just trauma that you can ever think of, that's what happened. We finally met my stepmom, who I have today. I tried to push her out of my life forever. She didn't go anywhere, thank God. But she is my biggest supporter today. And she came, my dad, they got married. But I was so broken and I was so traumatized, and I just wanted to be loved. So one day I threatened to run away, and they were doing housework. And I just wanted my dad to stop me and say, don't go, I love you. And he didn't. And so, and my stubbornness and in my head and the trauma, I left, and I was homeless at the age of 11. And I ran away from home. And the things that occurred to me out there were things that I never wish upon anybody. For the longest time, I held on to my innocence until one day I met a gentleman at a teen club, and I did not know what was gonna happen. But after that night, I was changed forever. Several years, I finally went to Haven Poe, which is a runaway shelter. It's through the Juvenile Detention Center in Tampa. They had us do counseling services. I got sent to Michigan, and I met my mom, and then I finally came here to Texas. I was 12. My mom was not ready to be a mom, and so she changed the lock on the door and said she couldn't parent me. So yet again, I was homeless, and things happened again at this time. I went days without showering, I went days without eating, and I met my daughter's father, who I needed safety. And so I met him and started being with him, and I was involved in sex trafficking. It wasn't until I was 14, my body changed, and I knew that something was wrong. My mom was forced to take me back because she was on parole. And she would have been violating if she didn't take me back. So she took me back. I ran away again because she told me that my only option was abortion. For that one moment, I knew that I was gonna have somebody to love me forever and never leave me. So I was holding on to Jordan with everything. So many, many years, I always said that I would not do to my children what were done to me. However, 20 years of mental health and substance abuse disorder, I did in fact hurt my children. It wasn't until May 6th, my last suicide attempt, I tried to commit suicide on 5 occasions. I would take a whole bottle of pills and a whole bottle of liquor, and I would call my parents and tell them goodbye and all the awful things they did to me. That time, I did not want to die, and I reached out to my friend who sent me a Jesus song. I was so mad at God. I was like, how dare her send me this Jesus song? I was so mad. But I fell to my knees, and my hands fell into my face, and he showed me the vision. And the vision he showed me is the face you see today. I never smiled in my life before. I was so traumatically distorted. I did not look this way, but he showed me that vision. I had no idea that you can only be saved once. I didn't know that I was saved, but I got to see Jesus for who he was. I no longer was bound to religion, of my parents' religion, but my relationship. So Jesus is my main squeeze. He is everything for me. And I grew really, really close to him. And in that point, I was less than 30 days clean when I met I Can Still Shine. I was a hot mess express. I could not sit still because of drug damage, the damage that was done to my body and to my brain from the drugs. I was very antsy, and I couldn't sit still, and I could not speak slowly, and I could not form correct sentences. She hung in with me. She supported me. She helped pay the bills when I couldn't pay the bills. She provided furniture for my girls and I, and she provided scholarships for myself to go to school. So I totally fell in love with Jesus, and I did not know that I was smart and that I was educated, and I did not know that I had a calling to go to school. So I went to TCC. I graduated with honors and cum laude. I received a scholarship to TCU. I get to go to spaces and places I've never thought I would be able to go. I get to present at conferences. I am volunteering in the community, and I get to be in my daughter's life. I caused my 23-year-old, I didn't get clean until she was 17. I didn't get clean until Lily was 6. I caused many years of abuse and trauma to my children, so it took many years of forgiveness. But I was able to see my oldest graduate. I was able to get her ready for prom. I'm able to help Lily with her mental health trauma and her mental health journey, which leads me to Bear Valley. Through our journey, we have received several church hurts, and one of those had us leave our church home. And so we were aimlessly wandering, and I watched Lily go from this person that was on fire for Jesus to not talking and just completely going dark. Her mental health was very scary, and she met Avery. And when she met Avery, Avery was a praying little girl, and she invited Lily to church, and Lily came to church, and that night, the first night at youth, she lit up. She came back, and I might cry, but she came back and she talked about Jesus so much, and that light that covered her was the light that she had lost. She went to the conference, and they were in the back seat worshiping, and so just bringing Lily back to Jesus is what this place means for me, what this home means for us. Being able to watch her grow in Jesus together is a true honor, and it's a privilege. So the life I get to live today, I no longer live, but God lives. There's so much. I'm engaged to be married. I've been paying my bills on my own for 5 years. I have the same car I've been paying for 3 years. I have longevity at a job. I have longevity in a house. We used to move around every 6 months. And I have peace, right? So if you look at me, you wouldn't be able to tell that all of the trauma and all of the abuse I went through, because Jesus is a miracle God. So I want to close with this scripture. I am opening a nonprofit. That's my career goal. I feel called to do that. And so my nonprofit is going to be the Prodigal One. You guys know the story about that, but it's going to be Second Opportunity. And so it's also followed by leaving the 99, right? So I'm going to close with this. Matthew 18:12. What do you think? If a man owns 100 sheep and one of them wanders away, will he not leave the 99 on the hills and go to look for that one that wandered off? God is always looking for that one. So if you're going through anything, if anybody in your family is going through anything, whether mental health, addiction, things that you just don't understand, don't quit praying. Don't quit praying. Because of prayer, I'm here. Because of prayer, I'm not dead. I should be dead right now, but I'm not, and I live through Him. So thank you.